deactivated at this time. T-minus 48 seconds and we're transferring to orbiter internal power. Coming up on a go for auto sequence start at T-minus 31 seconds.
Let's go for auto sequence start.
And we have a go for auto sequence start. The sound suppression water system has been activated, protecting the launch pad from acoustical energy waves. Go for main engine start. Two, one. Booster ignition.
There's your charge. Thank you. Engine, we're good. Well, we got 20 astronauts on board, 50 miles. All right. Alrighty. Negative return will be at 8.2. It's about 1. Okay. What heartbeat? About 40 degrees. It looks wonderful. Yes, sir. Here's door opening, Houston. Roger, we have a good picture.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, I am Vaos, and welcome to this SSTO in Realism Overhaul in Real Solar System. Now if you're wondering why I didn't go all Skylon, it's because I wanted to use technology that we're using today. Main space shuttle engines, liquid hydrogen fuel tanks, SRBs, SpaceX landing gears, parachutes, everything that you could go out there right now if you had the money and literally buy right now today. So right now is going to be a little bit of a flight tutorial in how to fly this thing. Now after you've cleared the launch pad, you want to get up to about 1,850 meters before you start pitching down to about 90 degrees. Once your nose is at 90 degrees or your tack angle's at 90 degrees, go ahead and hit the prograde icon, and that will allow your ship to make a natural gravity turn. Now I will warn you that I did not go out and manually download each and every single file or mod that I needed in order to accomplish this. I used CCAN in an old version of KSP, version 1.2.2. So when I told it to download Realism Overhaul, it downloaded about, I don't know, like 1,000 different other mods. So I will be putting this craft out for download in Kerbal X, and I'm hoping that it will detect all these mods so that you're not stumped trying to figure out which mods to use in order to play the craft file. Well, let's keep our fingers crossed. But at the very end of this video, I will be putting up like a type of still picture of all the mods that the CCAN program downloaded, just in case you wanted that extra information. Now the craft does come with some action groups in order to help it get into orbit. So when you reach about the apoapsis height of 90,000 meters, go ahead and hit the 1 key, which will shut off about half of the engines. This will slow down your craft, but it will help it reach the apoapsis, allowing it to burn more efficiently. Unlike KSP, where you have an unlimited number of how many times you can start and stop a rocket engine, in reality there are a lot of rocket engines that can only be started one time. In this case, the main shuttle engines that we're using for this craft. So instead of turning off our engines, coasting up to apoapsis, and then reigniting them in order to get an insertion burn, we're going to have to do this a little bit more creatively by turning off individual engines, slowing down the craft, and allowing time for us to reach apoapsis in one slow burn. So after you've hit the number 1 key, turning off half of your engines, you're going to start seeing that time to apoapsis is going to start increasing again. About a minute 10, I'd even go for maybe a minute. Go ahead and cut off the second amount of engines, which is number 2 key. And then once you start reaching 150,000 in your apoapsis height, go ahead and kill all the engines. Action group 3 and 4. Now the craft is still not in orbit, but we're really close. Once we get up to our apoapsis, I'd say about 10-15 seconds out from apoapsis, go ahead and hit the 4 key. Now the number 4 action group will ignite 6 small RL-10 engines. These have about 8 or 9 different types of times where you can ignite them. After that, you can't ignite them anymore. So this is great for like orbital maneuvers, re-entry, or even getting into orbit. So now it's time to drop off our cargo. In this case, the maximum amount of cargo that this thing can put into orbit safely is about 20 tons, or 40,000 pounds. Now the space shuttle could put up about 25 tons, or 50,000 pounds, into low Earth orbit. So this is not too far from what the space shuttle could carry into low Earth orbit, which is pretty cool considering the fact that it's a single-stage rocket capable of taking off and landing and being refueled and used again with, I would say, a pretty quick turnaround time. Now for those of you wondering about the actual size of the modules there, whatever CCAN did, it resized all of the parts and gave them new skins and everything. So supposedly that space station is human-sized, which I thought was pretty cool. It kind of gives you a good size comparison of the SSTO in comparison to the space station. By comparison, this spacecraft probably wouldn't be any bigger than the shuttlecraft still attached to its main tank. Now, re-entry and landing in KSP is of course difficult by itself. Re-entry and landing in Realism Overhaul with Real Solar System is insanely difficult, so you're definitely going to need to quick save and probably reload the same save file over and over and over again until you finally get it just right. But in this case, I was just happy to land in Florida, let alone anywhere near Cape Canaveral. I would imagine if I had NASA-sized computers and a whole room full of scientists, then we could figure this out and land right on top of the launch pad, just like in SpaceX. But I don't have those kinds of resources, nor that kind of time, so I was happy with what I got. So in Realism Overhaul, and I guess in real life as well, sometimes gas can build up in the chamber or something of that nature of an engine if you're trying to light it in space. So in order to fix this problem, I put some SRBs underneath of there. So if you start having problems trying to ignite your engine, just ignite the SRBs. That will throw the gas out or throw the liquid hydrogen back into the engine. I don't know how the hell that works, but it allows it to start up and work again, kind of like a jump start of some kind. But you can only do it once, so be wise. So a good periapsis to go by is about 64,000 meters, give or take. And you want your little red X for the trajectories mod to be quite a ways away from Florida. You're gonna have to play around with it and find the perfect spot, but eventually you'll get it. So now it's time to re-enter Earth's atmosphere. Go ahead and hit the 0 key for the expandable heat shield, and hit the 6th key in order to turn off half of the RCS thrusters. The only RCS thrusters that you really need are the ones at the tip of the spacecraft. This allows you to use half of the fuel necessary in order to keep the spacecraft pointed retrograde. Now sadly, I ran into a bug that if you re-enter the Earth's atmosphere at normal time without doing any type of time warp, your craft will completely overheat and spontaneously explode for no damn reason. It's like the heat shield's made out of tissue paper or something. So in order to avoid this, go at least 2 times warp. In this case, I'm going 4 times warp in order to not only hurry up the entire process, but it allows me to, well, hurry up the entire process. Alright, here comes the fun part, landing. You're gonna get a kick out of this. Anyway, make sure you deploy your drag chutes as well as your normal parachutes, and you want all of your liquid fuels to be empty. RCS fuel, which is your liquid fuel and oxidizer, make sure that's empty, and your liquid hydrogen you should leave at least maybe about 3,000 units left over. So you can burn the rest of that as you're about to land. Anyway, so here comes the fun part. When you're about 100 meters from the ground, and I mean wait until 100 meters disappears and it's like in its 90s, 94, 97, in there. Once you see that one disappear, hit the number 9 key. This will eject the heat shield. It'll throw it into the ground and get rid of it. It will open up the landing gears, and it will ignite the landing SRBs in order to have a semi-safe, semi-slow touchdown. Now, if you get it just right all the time, you're going to touch down nicely. If you deploy the number 9 key before this 95, 97 meter mark, you'll run out of fuel and you'll speed up and you'll eventually slam into the ground. If you ignite it too early, you'll slam into the ground. It takes practice. Definitely, if there was some sort of supercomputer, the computer would probably do everything. But this is modded KSP, so you've got to do everything. Now, for those of you wondering why I can't keep the heat shield, it's simple mods. You know, it's the parts. If I had a heat shield that could fold into itself and fold back to itself and still be realistic in nature, I would have used that. But unfortunately, if you eject this heat shield high up into the atmosphere before landing, it does a weird cracking thing where it spits out okay and then comes right back and slams into your craft. So I just said to hell with it. I'm gonna let it loose while I'm almost about to touch the ground and get rid of it by slamming it into the ground. So that's the problem with the heat shield. Other than that, it's 100% reusable, ladies and gentlemen. 100% reusable SSTO using technology that I believe is 100% available and being used today. So, ladies and gentlemen, this took forever. And I mean forever. If you've seen my recent videos about SSTOs in RSS, you can tell I've come a long way from big, huge, giant, bulky nastiness to something a lot cleaner and a lot smoother. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for being a part of this channel. I am thoroughly exhausted and I need to go back to work. So, thank you. Have a good night, and I hope to see you in the next video. I am Vaos, signing off, and have a good night.